Elliot Ludwig, the man, the myth, the monster? We all know Ludwig as the genius behind Playtime Co, but what if I told you he never really left? What if he's still lurking in the factory, not as a man, but as something far more terrifying? Today, we're breaking down the darkest theory yet. Is Elliot Ludwig the prototype? So buckle up, because this one's going to change everything you thought you knew about the Poppy Playtime franchise. Now, before we can get into the terrifying truth, let's talk about Elliot Ludwig. He wasn't just a businessman, he was a visionary, a creator, a family man. At least that's what we've been told. Ludwig revolutionized the toy industry, turning Playtime Co into a powerhouse of innovation. But behind the scenes, it wasn't just about toys. Ludwig was obsessed with something much bigger, something more sinister. He was experimenting with life itself. According to Playtime Co's hidden documents, Ludwig suffered a personal tragedy in the 1960s, losing someone incredibly close to him, and after that, his experiments took a dark turn. Instead of just making toys, he started making something alive. Now, one thing's for certain, Elliot Ludwig loved family. He was known for his happiness, joy, and smiling, especially when related to children. Pause. He literally described his workaholic behavior. It was solely intended to bring joy to children, despite his personal tragedies. But did these personal tragedies affect his work? Many scientists inside the Playtime Co factory, including the tape that we found in Chapter 4, say that Playtime was experimenting on something much bigger, for the betterment of society. I believe that Elliot Ludwig at first lost a child. This is the mysterious, tragic death that took place in his life. It wasn't his wife, as we have knowledge of her, but maybe a daughter or son. Thus the reason why Poppy was experimented on, as shown here in this VHS tape.
Poppy? Are you there?
Yes. Yes, I'm here.
When you didn't answer, are you feeling okay?
I'm okay. Really.
Did the bad men hurt you?
There's nothing more they can do to hurt me. Nothing more than what they've already done.
Something's bothering you, Poppy. Something you need to talk about?
I don't need anything tonight. Ollie, I just want to sleep.
I think there's more to this. More that you're not telling me.
There's not.
I know what you're doing, Poppy. Talking like that. Don't think for a second that I believe it. Just tell me what you're feeling. Please, just talk to me honestly.
Talk? Talk? You want me to talk?
Yes,
And who talking to, huh? Will talking to you make them stop?
No,
I'm scared, Ollie. Is that what you want to hear? I'm scared, and I'm angry, and I really don't know what to do. The bad men don't say what they want. They don't listen. They don't care how much anything hurts. It's been weeks and weeks of taking things out and putting them back in, and taking things out and putting them back in. Over and over and over. Nothing's ever gotten better, and it'll never get better. But you know what scares me more than anything, Ollie? It scares me that every time they do it, every time they peel me open, I feel it less. Less. I hate them. And I hate him. And I hate... I'm nothing now, Ollie. No one. I'm a thing. And nothing they can do to me hurts more than that.
You're not nothing to me. You're Poppy. And talking with you like this, I know it doesn't make any of what they do right. It can't. But it makes me feel like a piece of me is still here. No matter how small they try to make it. Next to all that, next to whatever they do, it means everything. I'm here, Poppy. For you, I'll always be here.
You can see they were ripping pieces out of her, putting them back and ripping them out once again in order to understand how a doll could be living once again. This signifies to me Elliot Ludwig's bigger theory. He knew that there was a possibility with the right innovations and money to bring children back to life, or better yet, make sure they never die. Now that being said, there's another man in this equation, one that would push Elliot past his limits. This man started as a young boy in the Young Genius program, and in case you're wondering, it was Harley Sawyer, soon to be the Doctor. He was very intelligent and was able to complete tasks that just the normal child couldn't. However, Ludwig became concerned with his lack of humility and willingness to experiment simply for the sake of progress, rather than for the benefit of humanity. He tried to instill that same humility inside of Sawyer, which only served to anger him. Seeing no other choice in the face of this, Elliot Ludwig regretfully ejected him from the Young Genius program. Sawyer saw this as a betrayal and coming to see Elliot Ludwig as soft, small-minded, and a backstabber. Thus the reason I believe Sawyer never truly let Ludwig die. You see, he wanted to get back at Ludwig for betraying him. And what better way than to put him inside of the monster itself? He made him a piece of his project. Thus the reason he is the prototype. So now let's talk about the prototype, aka Experiment 1006. Unlike every other Playtime Co experiment, this one was different. It was highly intelligent, capable of independent thought, and unlike the other toys, it wasn't just a puppet, it was a mastermind. The prototype is so powerful that even Playtime Co scientists feared it. One log states that it has not been contained successfully, suggesting that it was actively escaping, evolving, and possibly learning. And that's proven in the VHS tape that we find in an interview between the prototype and Harley Sawyer. What used to be the most caring man on the planet transformed into a monster. So let's break down the biggest clues that suggest that Ludwig might have actually become the prototype. The first, and perhaps the most obvious, is the obsession with preserving life. We know that Ludwig was experimenting with poppy flowers, which in Poppy Playtime lore have mysterious revolutionary properties. Some theorists believe he was trying to transfer consciousness into something non-human, a desperate attempt to escape death itself. Could his final experiment have been on himself? Well, I don't see that necessarily being the case, but I do think he thought it would be possible to somehow revive his child and put them inside of a doll. And what about the prototype's intelligence? Unlike every other experiment, the prototype isn't mindless. It plans, adapts, and even manipulates other experiments. It has a strategic mind, exactly the kind of intelligence Ludwig had. Why would an experiment be this strategic if not for a human mind controlling it? And this is the exact experiment that I would imagine someone like Dr. Harley Sawyer placing Elliot Ludwig inside of, as he had nothing at first. He literally has to rebuild his body and destroy the things that he wanted to preserve the most, his beautiful toys. But here's where things get really weird. Let's talk about the blacked out photos of Ludwig all throughout the franchise. Throughout the game, we find photos of Elliot Ludwig, but his face is always censored. Why? Is it just a stylistic choice, or is Mob Games hiding something? This type of placement has to be on purpose, as Mob Games usually does something just like this in order to explain some type of mysterious lore. The fact that his face is blacked out in all of the pictures up until this point means that somebody was trying to hide his identity. Could it be himself, as he's no longer associated with his human body? Or was it more sinister in making sure that nobody would recognize the prototype or make any correlation with the former founder? It really serves to wonder, and this could be exactly why this character has such sinister behavior. This man lost everything in trying to get the one thing he loved the most back. And so that's why he doesn't act like a monster. Not like Huggy Wuggy or Mommy Longlegs with just one sole intention, but a man on a mission. Of course, not every fan believes this theory. There are counter arguments that the prototype might be someone else entirely. Some suggest it could be a character that we haven't seen yet, or an AI that went wrong. The conversation had with Poppy at the end of chapter 4 really stretched out some of the details. You'll notice that Ludwig seems to be conversing with his daughter or someone near him. He explains that Poppy and him are one in the same. Could this potentially mean family members? Would Poppy be Ludwig's daughter? If that were the case, then why would she despise him? Or does she? That's the real question here. It would make sense for Ludwig to go after the same company that he brought up from the ground up after they took everything away from him, and thus the Hour of Joy. But why would Poppy be so concerned with killing her own father? This VHS tape pushes that even further. Take a listen.
Not now, not ever. I hate him. I hate him, and I hate this place, and I hate that he's right. He explained everything, and he's right. We can't leave. It's too risky. What they did to us, we can't ever let it happen to us or anyone ever again. Doesn't make me feel better about the bodies, though. What he was saying about them, I know there's not really another option. The toys will starve otherwise. They'll die. But it's still disgusting. I wish you were here, Dad. I could really use one of your talks right about now. You'd know what to say. When you were running this place, you always knew what to say. I miss you.
Notice, she explains that her father, who used to run this place, always knew what to say, and that the prototype said that she couldn't leave. If that's the case, then how could the prototype be Elliot Ludwig? Unless Dr. Harley Sawyer, who was hired on as a neurologist, changed the way that he thinks, erasing that piece of his memory and turning the one and only thing that Poppy loved into a monster. This is the type of sinister act that I could definitely see the doctor going about. And what a twist it would be for us to realize at the end that the monster behind all of this was actually the creator. And you'll notice in that conversation that she has in chapter 4, right at the end, the prototype tells Poppy to come home. This is the type of narcissistic behavior that either a crazy man has or a caring father. And don't get me started, as Poppy and him even created the whole Hour of Joy plan. Now, she didn't know it was gonna go this far, but she definitely was in on it. But let's talk about the end of chapter 4 when Dowie lost his mind. This once again shows just how evil I think Poppy is going to end up being at the end of the game. But if you didn't notice, she stayed in Safe Haven when we left. And she didn't explode like the rest of the children inside of it, making it really suspicious that the prototype, who's apparently planted the explosives, even though I'm starting to think it was actually Poppy the whole time, put on this whole show, warning her to avoid them. And if that's the case, why would he keep her alive? Unless she means something to him. And the reason she was locked in that case to begin with is like a spoiled brat, she's not going along with the parents' ask. And so he needs to keep punishing her. And she doesn't want to. But eventually, I think she's gonna catch on and be right there with good old Daddy-O, who once again could just potentially be Elliot Ludwig. And so I said it once and I'll say it again. Not only do I think that the prototype is Elliot Ludwig, not only do I think that Poppy is right there along with him and is gonna turn evil, but there leads the case that we could potentially be Elliot Ludwig's wife. And that's the reason why Poppy and the prototype haven't killed us just yet. But hey, that's a whole nother theory. Make sure you check out this one if you want to learn more about the whole Poppy Playtime franchise.